Now, let's talk briefly about the Liberal Party. We need the Liberal Party in power. There was a pre-selection yesterday. Warren Mundine sadly failed to win the pre-selection there. I say failed because Warren Mundine is an Australian hero. We have 11 Indigenous Australian parliamentarians. Let's have more. Warren Mundine would have been terrific. He did fail. The Liberal Party still seems to be pursuing this bizarre strategy whereby they think that the way to defeat the Teals is to copy the Teals. And I'll quote Warren Mundine there, who was saying that you don't win political contests by mimicking your opposition, and I agree with that point. Caroline, any thoughts on that?
Well, look, Bradfield was always going to be quite a difficult seat. It was the only Liberal-held seat that voted yes at the referendum. And of course, Warren Mundine was one of the main faces of the No campaign. However, having said that, I agree with you, Rowan, because unless you offer a real alternative to voters, they're basically voting for a teal wearing Liberal colours. So what difference is there? You need to provide a real alternative.
The point I would make, James, is that if you ran, there was this ridiculous argument put forward by Joe Hockey last week and others that because Warren Mundine was the front of the No campaign and that this electorate had voted yes, therefore you couldn't put him up. What absolute rubbish. Joe Hockey doesn't know what he's talking about, not for the first time, I might add. But, James, you win elections by putting forward, as Caroline says, an alternate vision, and I guarantee you if you put the referendum to the people of Bradfield today, they would vote no to the referendum. So, you win elections by arguing. Warren Mundine fought a terrific battle. If he could win the no vote, just imagine what he could have done for you in the electorate, Peter Dutton.
Well, yeah, I mean, the other interesting thing here is that the Teal candidate, Noelle, when I forget her last name, but she has been running almost as a shadow MP since the last election. She has set up an electorate office, essentially, in that electorate. So the politics of this one are very, very odd and I think different to almost anywhere else in Sydney. I mean, it's going to be really interesting to see where some of these other Teal seats go. What happens with Roe Knox and Wentworth? What happens with some of these other seats? Because, the Liberals, too, they've got an issue here. They've got an issue because they still haven't fully committed to the strategy of, we've lost these seats and we're going to campaign heavily on the rest of the country. But the problem, too, is that in Australia, Sydney and Melbourne dominate all of the federalism is such that, it's very hard to win government via that thing. So you have to come back again around to that John Howard big tent philosophy, too, to a certain degree.
I disagree.
Sorry, Caroline. I have to take issue with that. I think the big church, whatever it is nonsense. You win elections, as Donald Trump has shown.
John Howard ran 4 terms.
Yes, I know. And that was in a very, very different era. That's when the Liberals were built. Yes, they were a broad church to an extent, that there were a couple of bedwetters, but basically it was a Conservative party. Now we've got this idea that you can have a kind of mixture of bedwetters and Conservatives. It doesn't work. Conservatism is the creed that the Liberal Party should be following, not pandering to Teals and the likes of it.